So think about this for a second. You just bought a new gadget, a book, maybe some software. You paid for it, it's yours, right? Well, it turns out the answer is way more complicated than you'd think. We're going to unravel this hidden legal puzzle that really makes you question what ownership even means in today's world.
At the heart of it all is this fundamental clash. On one side, you've got the creator's right to control their work, their invention, their story, their code. But on the other side, you've got your right to control the actual physical thing you just bought. So the big question is, where does their control end and yours begin?
Let's make this super real. You finish a fantastic novel and you want to sell it to a friend for a few bucks. Can the publisher, who owns the copyright to the story inside, just step in and say, nope, you can't do that? It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But this exact question is what forced the legal world to come up with a solution. And that solution has a name: the first sale doctrine. Honestly, you can just think of it as the common sense rule that was created to balance things out. It's the legal principle that allows things like libraries, used bookstores, and even used selling your old stuff on eBay to even exist in the first place.
Now you got to pay attention to that word exhausted. It is the key to this entire idea. It basically means the creator gets their reward from that very first sale. Once they've been paid for their work by selling that specific copy, their control over that physical object is used up. It's done. Finished. You, the new owner, can now lend it, resell it, or even just give it away without asking anyone for permission.
The logic behind it is beautifully simple, right? Step 1, the creator puts their product out into the world. Step 2, they get paid for it. That's the reward for their genius. And at that moment, step 3, the deal is done. Their right to control that particular item is exhausted. It stops them from basically reaching into your life forever to control your property.
But of course, it's not that simple. If it were, this would be a really short explainer. The huge complication is that, while pretty much everyone agrees that the first sale matters, the world is completely divided on where that first sale has to happen for those rights to get exhausted.
This table breaks down the three competing systems perfectly. First, you've got national exhaustion. This means if a company sells a product in, say, Japan, they can legally block you from buying it there and reselling it in the United States. Then there's regional exhaustion. This is the model the European Union uses. A product sold in Germany can be freely resold in France or any other EU country. It creates one big market. But they can still block imports from outside the EU. And finally, you have international exhaustion. Once a product is sold legally anywhere in the world, it can be resold everywhere. End of story.
And which one of these rules a country chooses isn't just some boring legal detail. It has massive real-world consequences for prices, for access to goods, and for global trade. It is a very high-stakes decision.
This whole thing creates a fundamental clash of priorities. As you can see here, developed nations often lean towards stricter rules like national or regional exhaustion. This lets their companies control distribution and charge different prices in different countries. But developing nations, they often argue for international exhaustion. And why is that? Because it allows them to import more affordable, totally legitimate goods, we're talking crucial things like medicines and textbooks, from wherever they happen to be cheapest in the world. And this brings us to a fascinating real-world case. There was this student, Supap Kirtsang from Thailand, studying in the US. He realized his textbooks were way cheaper back home. So he had his family buy the legally produced international versions and ship them over. He then resold them to American students for profit. Well, the publisher sued him. This thing went all the way to the US Supreme Court, which, and this is huge, sided with Kirtsang. They affirmed that the first sale doctrine applied even to goods made and sold abroad. It was a massive win for international exhaustion.
But the stakes get so much higher when we start talking about public health. In India, the company Bayer sold a life-saving cancer drug for the equivalent of over $3,000 a month. So, the Indian government, citing a public health need, allowed a local company to produce a generic version. And the price? It plummeted to just over $100 a month. It's a powerful example of how countries use these IP rules to put their citizens' well-being first.
Now hold on, because everything we've talked about so far has been about physical things. Books you can hold, pills you can swallow. But what happens when the product isn't a physical object at all? What happens in our world of downloads and streams and software? Well, welcome to the digital dilemma.
Okay, this is the crucial difference. When you buy a physical book, you get ownership of that copy. But when you buy an ebook or a piece of software, you are almost always just buying a license to use it. That tiny change in wording means everything. By calling it a license instead of a sale, companies can sidestep the first sale doctrine completely. It lets them use the fine print to forbid you from ever reselling your digital stuff.
And this legal workaround has created a total mess. Just look at Europe.
A huge case ruled that a downloaded software license was basically a sale, and yeah, it could be resold. But then, a few years later, another court ruled that an ebook license could not. The legal reasons are super complex, but the takeaway is pretty clear. Even the courts are struggling to figure out how our old rules about property apply to the new digital world.
Which leaves us with this final, really critical question. As more and more of our lives, our music, our movies, our books, our games, move from physical objects to these licensed streams and downloads, the very idea of personal property is being rewritten right under our noses. So the next time you click buy on a digital storefront, it's really worth asking yourself, what am I actually buying and do I truly own it?